Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're managing to follow the English. It must be quite tiring, I would imagine, for you to have 2 lectures in English back to back, but I'll try to keep it short. I'll try to speak slowly, and because the title of my talk is such a broad area, nutrition for endurance sport, I've had to keep it quite focused. So I think for many of you, this will be a revision. I'm not expecting you to learn anything that's particularly new, but it's great to be back here in Brazil. And I enjoyed a little trip yesterday out to Telegraph Hill, where you can see me hanging off a rock if you see me on Instagram. So this is the lecture outline. I'm just going to do it in 3 parts. I'm going to talk about what an endurance athlete is to begin with, because if we're talking about nutrition for endurance, we need to understand what we mean by endurance. And then I'm just going to focus on 2 things: how we use nutrition to support training in the endurance athlete, and what we might do during competition. I'll touch a little bit upon what we might do immediately before a race or before a competition, but I'm going to have to neglect, just in the interest of time, what we might do in recovery. But I'm sure you've heard a lot about recovery strategies, nutritional and otherwise, post-exercise at other times during this conference. So let's start by looking at what we mean by the endurance athlete. And it's pretty straightforward. Here we have power. Here we have time or exercise capacity. Here are the strength and power sports, obviously very high power, relatively short duration activities, so low capacity. These are your team sports in the middle, and we'll be talking about endurance sports over the next half an hour or so. So these particular athletes tend not to be particularly powerful, but they tend to have the ability to sustain relatively low intensities for very long periods. They've got good resilience or good endurance. As Dr. Forbes has already alluded to, though, endurance covers a wide array of different events. When I think of endurance, I think typically of the marathon or longer distance running. But of course, there's middle distance running as well. So 800 meters, which is barely more than 1 minute and 40 seconds worth of running at the top level. And that's also an endurance sport. So it does span a wide array of different intensities and durations. And there is the requirement to not only to endure, but to be fast. And sometimes races are won, indeed, as Scott says, in the last 100 meters or so.